Okay. Hello. Who do we have? We have Donna. Let's see. Do we all know everybody? Do we all know each other?
I don't know who Lulu is. That's new to me.
Oh, my camera's off. Sorry about that.
I think everybody's off but Patty and Lulu. Lulu, do you know Donna Hill?
I don't think so.
Donna has Service Dog Training Institute in British Columbia. And she offers service dog training online and probably you do in person.
Yep. Yeah, in Nanaimo.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
Yeah, I know she's phenomenal online. I just didn't know if she did it in person.
Yeah, it's fun. I've got a client coming actually from where's she coming? Well, she's coming from Detroit soon. Another one coming from Toronto. They're just coming out to train because they've got family here, I guess, or friends, so they're going to come out and train. And yeah, it's nice to combine a visit with some training. So why not?
I think we're going to be going up to Oregon to do some. Well, I have to go up at least one more time for testing, and so I'll be able to do some training at that point. Do some training at that point. If we go far enough north, maybe we'll go see you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, come on up. Yep. We got a beautiful city. The whole Vancouver Island is just gorgeous. Everybody loves it that comes here.
Okay. So we don't have our main instigator tonight. We don't have Penny here tonight, who usually runs all this. And I think we've got like the biggest group going right now.
Ah, there you go.
Just make sure you're doing okay.
So hi, Lyra. Hi, Leslie. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Tabitha. Hi, Rhea.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, my concern for the group getting really big is that it's going to be really hard for people to take turns talking.
Well, we have ways of managing that.
That's good.
We'll just do the Muppet Theater thing, you know.
Oh, goodness.
Tabitha, I don't think I've met you. I'm Cindy Campbell of Cindy Campbell Dog Training.
Hi.
You're okay, Kim.
I am the founder of 180 Degree Rescue, and I've been training service dogs off and on for about 16 years.
Good. Welcome. Welcome. Do we have, and Erica's got her, everybody's. So do we want to go through and just introduce ourselves, since we have some new people here, and we have a bigger group than usual, and we may be getting more people. I think Penny's coming possibly, and go from there.
Sure.
Okay, so Donna, you were here. Well, I'll just say I'm Cindy Campbell Dog Training. I'm in Clovis, California. I have Nick, who is my service dog, and he's working on other multi-sports that he's going to participate in. Right now we're doing rally, and we're going to pick up some agility soon. And Donna, you are here next.
Sure. I'm Donna Hill. I'm up in Nanaimo, British Columbia, Canada, and I run Service Dog Training Institute. We have online classes. I do webcam consults. And we have Lucy, who's my only senior dog left. Jessie left us in June, but there's Lucy way over there in the corner. She's waiting for her supper. And yeah, and we do in-person and online training, and lots of fun. Oh, and I've got 2 YouTube channels too. If anyone's interested, you can watch.
And Patty?
Hi, I finally got Jazer to use his inside voice, and I turned my mic on. I have an adolescent, 8 months old, and he's been grounded from off leash, so he's a little wound up until we get our fence in, supposedly this week. I'm Patty Geary. owner trained since 2010, and I'm on my 4th owner trained service dog.
And Lulu?
Currently I have Izzy. She's somewhere in Katsumi's room, my cat's room, sleeping. She is my mobility, PTSD, and medical alert dog. Saturday I get my puppy though to start training him as my next service dog.
That's exciting.
Yeah. And Lyra?
Sorry, I muted my mic so you guys wouldn't have to listen to me cooking dinner.
No worries.
I am Lyra, and I have a adolescent standard poodle service dog in training and a mostly retired elderly-ish service dog.
Okay, and Leslie?
I have no idea how to do this.
Just say who
Can
you are.
Hey, Leslie, if you look down in the left bottom corner of the Zoom screen, there's a video icon. If you click on it, you can turn your video on.
I have no video icon.
Yeah, I don't either.
So I'll
Are you
just
on a
talk.
phone or a computer?
I'm on a phone.
I don't know where that is.
If
on
you
the
press
phone.
on the screen, a little thing from the top will slide down, and then you'll have the video mute and a bunch of other little things.
Oh,
Pressing up. Oh, there it is. Thank you.
yeah, it does work. Thank you.
Now we got your ceiling.
Okay. Well, I'm a
There you
member,
are.
owner trained, and have been for several years. I recently lost my service dog, Sam, who was a diabetic alert dog and did some PTSD tasks. And I have a new adolescent dog that may or may not make it as a service dog. We'll see. And that's about it. Oh, I'm studying to be an ADA coordinator.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And Ria?
Hi, I'm Maria, and Guinness is my service dog. He's a mix. We're gonna get him DNA tested because they keep arguing about what he is. But I'm kind of debating keeping him as an at-home and going to a smaller female dog. He's kind of too strong for me, and we're still struggling with getting him to not pull. And he's 80 pounds, so it's been a journey. We're working on it. But he does really good on alerting for migraines and blood pressure. And he's starting to do pain alerts, but I'm not quite sure how to handle that yet. So we're learning together. He's 4 years old. So
Okay. And
Ray, I'm so glad to see you, but I can hardly see you on mine. Can you do your video a little? Kind of angle it a little better? That's a little.
sorry,
There
I'm
you
dealing
are.
with some pain issues today. So
I'm so
kind of
glad to
laying
see
down.
you.
okay, and Tabitha?
Hey, I'm Tabitha. Like I said before, I run a force-free rescue and train. I just retired in November, my second owner-trained service dog, who does mobility as well as psychiatric and a few other miscellaneous issues. I am in the search for a new prospect, either a well-bred large breed of an undetermined breed at this point, or I will do like I've always done and socialize a litter of puppies and pick a prospect out of that.
And Erica?
Hello. I don't have a service dog. I just have trained dogs. Never done service training, but I've trained a lot of dogs, just regular training. And I have one that's my agility mutt right now.
That's hard to do too, though.
Yeah.
So,
And,
cool.
Yeah.
and Sarah, are you seeing the captions? I just want to make sure you are.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. And it's your turn.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Sarah. I have 2 dogs. One he just turned 4. He's a big kid now. I have a 4-year-old English Cocker Spaniel named George, who is my hearing dog. And then I also have a newer addition, a 3-year-old Labrador named Sunshine. And we're working towards competing in hunt tests.
Get in and what? I'm sorry.
Hunt tests.
Oh, cool.
So I keep picking her brain because I want Nick to get hunt titles. That's one of the multi-sports I want him to do.
That'll keep him busy.
Mhm. Okay, so tonight we're going to have an interesting. Penny was driving all day, and so she was a bit tired and needed to spend a little bit of time with her husband. She may try and join us later. I don't know. So
I think she's here.
I'm trying to manage Zoom, and I'm not as good at Zoom as she is. So please bear with me. That's why you were all bunched up in the waiting room, because it's like, oh, there's people. So I'm trying to keep an eye on that as we're talking. So tonight our conversation is going to be about equipment, training gear, tack, whatever you want to call it. And, since we're predominantly, force-free trainers, fear-free trainers, there's a wide variety of what we can still use, what we use, because a lot of it's for behavior management. Like Patty, you were talking about Jazer dragging a lead again, losing his off-leash privileges.
Yeah, he's grounded.
Oh, Nick thinks he's lost something.
He has.
He's like, am I off leash? Did I lose off leash? No, you never had it. But so we're going to talk about equipment. And, one of the things I'd like to talk about, because there's so many different ways you can connect your dog to you to manage your dog. And I'd like to talk to everybody and see what everybody's preferred method is. I have preferred methods for while I'm training, but I don't like them long-term. I want my dog managed well, so they behave well. And my goal is always to get them on a flat collar and not pull, and so that they're following me when they're on their collar. And I want to do this with as few of problems as possible. And what I have discovered over the many years of dog training is that it really depends on the animal what I'm going to use. And my preference is to start with a harness. And if that doesn't work.
Cindy, did you see that from Christy?
No, is she in the?
She's trying to get in.
Okay, thank you. Just got her in. So my preference is to start with a harness. And I found I wasn't going to do anything but a harness until Nick was past adolescence, other than maybe a little practice on a collar, so he knew what a collar was like. Well, that didn't work out. So we ended up actually going the full gamut, and he ended up with a harness with a back attached leash and a gentle leader, so that when he tried to lunge forward, I could use the gentle leader to steer him around the same way you would a horse that's taking off, and keep his back end restrained so he wasn't exploding forward as much. And that stopped 99% of his impulse forward. But I want to talk to other people to see what kind of ideas they have for stuff like that, for dealing, especially with adolescents, because it sounds like there's some new puppies. I think when Ashlyn comes in, she's got a puppy coming, and Donna's probably dealt with the trainers in here that have done lots of puppies have probably got some ideas as well, and see what we come up with. So should we start with Donna?
As far as training equipment?
Yeah, what you like for puppies and getting into adolescence to try and keep them from getting into those challenging.
My go-to is the flat body harness. I start with that. It's got an O-ring on the front, a D-ring on the back, and it gives you a choice of either one or both to give you a bit more management issue. it's very rare when we have to progress to other equipment, just because I really like to manage the environment around the dogs. I don't like throwing them into environments where they can't handle it. And that's usually what happens, is a lot of the dogs are pushed a bit too soon. And so then that is not suitable for managing the dog. And so if we just go a bit slower and build choice in, a lot of times I will attach the leash to the back of the clip of the harness. And I start with acclimation in every new environment. We go in, we stand there, and I ask nothing of the dog, nothing. And I wait for the dog to get fully acclimated, satiated, whatever term you want to use. And I might only give them 6 feet, or I might give them 15 feet. It depends on the dog. It depends on the environment. And I just wait them out. And when they're ready, they'll turn back to me and go, "Oh, what are we doing, Mom?" That's when I click. And then I wait until I get that volunteered attention consistently. So it's literally where, they'll duck their head to eat, and then they're back up and they're doing this like really quickly. And then I go, I got a dog now. Let's see if we can do some simple behaviors. So usually that's my go-to, and that's what I recommend for all of my clients. And it's worked really well because it builds in a default look back. It builds in that awareness of the environment. Let's check it out. But then what are we doing, Mom? And that's ultimately what we want as a service dog, is that default attention on us without having that reactive piece. Now, if you have a dog that's reactive, say he's going through a fear period, then I just get more hyper careful about where I take them, and we back the truck up and work from there, and then work forward. So that's my general go-to.
So do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
If you've got a dog like Guinness is 4,
Mhm.
and I'm still dealing with that. So if I start, like you were just saying, doing that now, do you think that would be helpful to go back and start doing that?
I would have to know a whole lot more about your dog, what history he's got, how reactive he is, what the trigger for the reactivity. But in general, I mean, if I was to get, say, a client came to me with a 4-year-old dog that already had some good basics and wasn't reactive per se, then I would start the way that I do it for sure. And just figure out where the dog is at and restart it and work forward.
So it's worth a shot, I would think.
Yeah. Absolutely, because it's about building value for connecting with you and giving it the dog a choice. Because a lot of clients, I'm finding, what they want to do is they want to give less and less choice by shortening the leash or tethering them to them or those kinds of things. And the more we do that, the more the dog goes, "Ew, get away from me. I want my own space." But when they have the choice and they're getting reinforced for staying around us, I find that they're much more likely to make that choice to stay near us. And I found that with Jessie. Jessie had my little shepherd mix. She did not like being in people's personal space, and it took a while, but she did come around to that. It worked really effectively with her because she understood it was her choice to be there. It wasn't me making her be there. And it did turn the tables on her very significantly. Even just coming between my legs, the tricks of like going through your legs and leg weave and all that, she wanted nothing to do with that. But when it was her choice and when we turned it into a game changer for her, it was like way, way different. So yeah, the more the dog can control the scenario, especially if there's fear or especially if there's some sort of reactivity, I find it works really, really effectively. You just have to be patient. That's the bottom line though. You have to be patient. You have to really carefully select the environment you put the dog into. And that's hard for a lot of people.
And sometimes you have to back up and not walk them. And because I ran into a situation with Nick where I moved at a crucial time for him, and my next door neighbors, their door was literally at a 90-degree angle from mine, and they were horrible, loud, and caused all kinds of problems. And I just had to it literally took all kinds of time and effort from me and making huge efforts with Nick, and finally them moving to get him fixed. But I know I know he's capable of doing what his job is. It's just this one scenario we needed to fix, and I knew it was fixable.
Cool. I think it's worth a try.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna work on that.
Yeah, let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Patty, you're up next.
Okay. Equipment changing obviously right now, but a lot of the same stuff. Rainey will be 10 in October. She's got a diagnosis of PLN, which is a kidney disease, but she is asymptomatic because we caught it through the Morse Foundation's early, and we've been able to delay symptoms, but it's time for us to start working toward retirement. And we got Jazer, who is 8 months old now, and he's been really awesome for a puppy until he hit 8 months old, and he's still awesome, but he's found out that there's a world beyond me, and it's squirrels. So we have actually ordered a new fence. We've got one in partial background, and they've all been off leash, everybody, all this time. So now COVID's got them backed up, and that's why we're on a long line in the yard, because I can't let him practice running squirrels across the yard boundaries. So we're going to allow squirrel chasing, and Donna may not like this, but I just cannot manage squirrel chasing altogether because he loves it. But what our plan is to work some, and Rachel Thornton, that is my physical trainer here, she's having me do some stuff when the fence gets in with impulse control and having him get to use that as reinforcement for things. So we're going to see how that goes. But right now he's got to drag the line, and it's been very difficult. And I understand what goes on with people in the group now when their dogs don't get enough exercise. So, and that's one equipment I love. The Phi collar is awesome. People like me who can't move around very well, I have to have some feedback to make sure my golden retrievers are getting their exercise. So that's a real good thing. I use it, and the harness I use is
What is the collar you were talking about?
let me pull his off while I'm talking.
It's a GPS collar.
Yeah, it's
It's a tracking collar, and it calculates their exercise. Nick got one.
The reason I got it was because I trust them. But if you're out in a car and you have an accident and you're out cold and your dog happens to get released down the road by first responders, how do you know where they are? And this collar, I always know where he is. And if that happened, it would call our son and also tell him. So even if we're out cold, my dog, somebody will go get him. And it tells me when they leave the yard. So when we're working on yard boundaries, Rainey's good, and he was good. But I know without going outside, I can come inside and do stuff, and I still know they're in the yard. So it's just a wonderful, wonderful device. It is expensive, but if you wait till a sale, they've actually had $100 off, which is what I got on this one. It does cost something like,
I think it's about $100 a year.
To have it, but it's well worth it. So that's what we use for collars. I do not like that I have a buckle on this, but I got him a quick release. This is wonderful. PACKT, wonderful company. Y'all look them up. They just came out with this wonderful magnetic, can you see it? Magnetic release.
Is it like the latches on the
Yes, real similar to what Katrina has on both.
Yeah.
See how easy that is? And I have very, very little use of this hand. And MS, I'm like a quad. All of me is weak, but this hand and this leg's about wiped out. But I can use this arm. It's just real weak. But these wonderful releases, plus with an adolescent, I had one and he grew so fast that he outgrew it. And I've got to get him another one, but I just hadn't ordered it, and they're $50, and that's another thing. But if he gets to playing and he has to wear his collar, we can just have that off in a minute if dogs get stuck in them. So they have the harnesses, and they have the collars that have the magnetic things. And if you order a harness, they are so good. Ask them to add a buckle to the neck. The design came out without the neck buckle, and I've worked with this company before. And it's so good. And they put one on they added one just for and didn't charge me nothing extra. They added the neck buckle. It is very important with these type of designs, if you don't have it nice and tight and high, you're restricting the shoulders too much.
Yeah.
And Pack has a bunch of the hands-free leash options. The new ones they've come out with, they have the buckles that go around your waist that have the magnetic releases on them. They
Oh,
have
that's nice.
and they have the fight collar with it. That's what I got Jason was their fight collar. So they've got that too. I have most of my stuff's outside.
What company is this?
Smaller leash than this, but I use the double hook leashes on my adolescents.
Front and back.
I put one on the front, one on the back. Rainy, of course, she doesn't need anything. She walk around without a leash on. We just have it to be there. And that's what we use on him. And then this company, Pack T, made me a handle. I wish I had one in here, but I don't see it. They've made me a couple of them to go on. I'll go get it when it's not my turn. To put on that's got the matching colors to the purple, or you can have black, and it's a double hook short, kind of like this out of this stuff, the same thing. And that's wonderful for a mobility handle, but for an adolescent, what it's great for, if we're in the woods and here comes some dogs, which happens all the time, Bart steps off the trail and then he reaches down and grabs the handle, and that gives him a nice place to hold in case Jazer decides he's got to go say hello, which is usually not him, it's the other dogs, but those are like must-haves. And then I just got this. I don't know how it's going to be, but did you see Roughwear has a new item that came out?
I think that looks like the fanny pack that I have.
It's a brand new release, and I've had some of the other ones, but this one just came out, and it's got the leash that's wound, it's wadded up in here.
Okay, mine doesn't have the leash.
Yeah, this just got released, and the deal is I got my refund for they recalled the
harness,
load up, and Bart decided we're not going to get another Roughwear because it was too hard to deal with. So I got this in the dog bed, but I haven't tried it yet. But I think it's pretty cool. It goes on your waist, and you can. It's another option with it.
Well, they've got all kinds of good pockets for poo bags too. I use mine all the time.
You need poo bags. We use different lengths of line. I used to step on lines, but I can't do that anymore. But what I have figured out is how to run over them with the scooter. So if Jazer starts to go for a squirrel, I can get my wheel on it and get his attention before he's gone. And that's
the advantage of the scooter is the scooter probably weighs 3 times, 4 times as much as you do because you're so slight.
Well, it is heavier than me, but I'm the point I am, if I even stepped on a line, I'm down on the ground.
Yeah.
I very seldom handle him alone, and that is very distressing to me because I've always done my own training and stuff. And that's Rachel Thornton. Y'all may know her. Donna Pike, you know her, Donna. She helps me a lot, and she's been taking Jazer out once a week to do training in public that I can't do. And then Bart helps me on those other times. But anyway, the training lines are so important right now. And we're going to be wearing one probably till 2 years old, maybe. I wore one to 2.5. Rainey had hers off at 18 months. But those are some of the stuff. And I'll go get that and show you before you leave the little handle I've got. Any questions about that stuff?
What was the name brand on the ones with the magnetic clip?
Packed, P-A-C-K-T. Just
Okay.
Google it. I'll send you a link if you can't find it. But I love them. And those harnesses, if you just ask them, they'll put your neck buckle on. The only thing about, and I haven't given them this feedback yet, and I'm sure they'll probably tell me a way to fix it, but this stuff is kind of slick. So the strap that goes down on the tummy, sometimes it'll slide all the way out when I'm putting it on and off, which isn't a problem if you've got 2 hands. But I'm struggling a little bit with that, and I just hadn't got back with them. I'm going to see. I'm sure there's they could stitch it or something.
Is it the webbing that's sliding? The buckle on the webbing?
This is Biofang, which I have to have because they're in the lake all the time.
Right.
And it slides through. Okay, can you see this? it's a pretty big place that slides through. So there's a big place to slide and it needs to have something to make it smaller.
Okay, well, I'm gonna, even though I'm in California, I'm gonna give a redneck solution, because I grew up on a farm.
Duct tape.
Duct tape.
Well, you know,
baling wire.
duct tape fixes everything. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm sure that I'm just gonna see, I've got to get another one for him and I'm just gonna see.
In Oregon, they have duct tape for the University of Oregon.
Oh, I don't doubt that. Yeah, they do. I've seen that. They've got it for here too. The other big thing I love is Katrina's harnesses. The everyday work harness has been a dream. You know,
I love that harness.
I do, and I've used it since months before it came out because I was fortunate enough. She sent me one to try, and I'm so happy they added the neck buckle. And mine has the magnetic things on them. It's got the front hook, and when I first lost Shy, Rainey was almost 4, but I actually had to back up and use a front hook in public on her because she was devastated and she would start walking too fast when she'd get stressed and stuff. And I probably used that front hook that next year, but now she's fine and we're back off of it. But I love that you've got the 2 options on it.
Mm-hmm.
What you said, Katrina, what is that the name of the company?
Bold Lead Designs.
Bold Lead Designs. And
what's her last name? Boldry?
Boldry, Boldry. I've been buying.
She took the RY off her last name and Bold Lead Designs.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Very, very high quality.
Yes, and I will say this on that everyday work harness. She went to Colorado, to the University of Colorado, and worked with the vet school. And she had input from dog physical therapist, rehab specialist, and orthopedic board certified orthopedic doctors when she does her harnesses. And even the old one with the basic balance assist harness that's got the straight strap, she had orthopedic input. And the jury's still out on straight versus chest straps. We can't just say for sure that it's always not a good choice for a straight strap. I'm sure it's got
when you look at dogs on a treadmill, even dogs walking without a harness walk funny on a treadmill. So
I have a treadmill. I know. Crazy. But okay. I just think that's great. She's got orthopedic input instead of just making designs up.
Yeah. And Lulu, are you awake?
Okay.
What's your favorites on heart? Because you've got a puppy coming and you're going to be going through a lot of this too.
What I usually do is I use a flat collar, and then with Izzy, she just mostly sat on my lap the whole time we were out in public areas because I would just wheel myself and then she'd sit on me, and then I would tell people not to touch her, but then they would want to anyway. Tofu's a little different. I'm actually getting him a dog stroller to make it a little easier, but he's also going to be on a flat collar. The dog stroller is also mostly so if I have to walk a little bit longer during training, I can use that to walk because I don't have a walker or anything. And my balance is pretty off, but the trainer doesn't want Izzy at the training sessions until like all the puppies are a little older because I'm doing the group sessions. So I figure I'll just bring the stroller. It's a small stroller. So I'm like, I asked her and she said it was fine to bring that. So I was like, okay, I'll just bring that, train with that. But I also figure it'll help get them used to being around baby strollers out in public or around stuff with wheels, stuff that could like look strange to them. I think it'll be a really good tool now that I actually think about it. I do want to get him a harness, but I'm not sure if I will. I did get him a service dog vest, but it doesn't really have anything on it except one D-ring on the back. So I think I'm just going to stick with that. Hopefully I can get him a harness. There's a harness I've been looking at Petco. It's like $35. So I'm like, I want this harness.
Do you know which harness it is?
No, it's like a blue one with this nice leather handle on the back.
Ah. Okay. All right, Lyra, I think you're next. What do you like to use from puppy to adolescent and beyond?
I think it depends on the dog, and if you're having any issues with them. Luna pretty quickly was able to be worked on a flat collar. Bjorn has switched from a flat collar to a head halter, and will probably be on one for a while. Have a Y front harness on him. I got a pocket vest for both of them from Roughwear using their 40% off service dog discount. And I used the pockets on the Roughwear harness, and I slide their Phi collar receiver inside the pocket. So it's super easy to take in and out to charge, and you don't have to clip it on anything or remove it. And I don't have to have a collar on them if I don't want to.
That's a nice way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, and Leslie?
See if I
You're
can
up
make this-
next.
There. Okay. Let's see. With my first service dog, she was about a year when I got her, and she had never socialized. And she was a Newfoundland, which was a huge dog.
Yes.
And she was very willing to work on a flat collar with treats. So I was very lucky. With my second dog, Sam the Beagle, who I lost recently, he was very willing to work on a Y front harness. He was about 9 months old when I got him. And then he went to a flat collar pretty quickly. With Ziggy, my current buddy, we are working on a harness because he is full of the zoomies and full of adolescence. And he does have a flat collar for when he is in a very calm mode. But I keep his harness on him in case I have to switch it pretty quickly.
Okay. I sometimes do that with the head halter. One of the other tricks I learned with the gentle leader when I'm really, especially either when I'm first starting out or getting rid of it, is I'll snap the leash to the head halter and the collar. Or the harness, and then they can't, then the feedback goes through the collar or the harness before it goes to the halter, and so they don't get jerked around, but they still know you have control over them.
Oh, that's interesting. I never thought of that.
That's one of the ways it really works when you're transitioning off. I've done it with the bigger dogs. I've had Great Pyrenees and Newfoundlands, and that's worked really well with that when they were rambunctious.
Another reason is if they're like Guinness and they can get the head halter off, you still
then it's
want
not
to be
adjusted right.
to something.
So Rhea, what about you? Do you have some preferences or?
Patty turned me on to the, what's that called, Patty? The Pet Safe 3-in-1. Am I right on that?
Yeah, this is the harness that I was talking about.
I think you got everybody hooked on that.
Well, let me tell you something about cost too, if you don't know. In the Amazon warehouse, do y'all know how to find those prices?
Yep.
This harness I just bought for $7 in a black, brand new in here. It says like new, it came like this, $7. I found it on, you look on Amazon warehouse, you have to scroll down on.
I didn't know that. I'll have to do that next time I order from them.
And if anyone, anybody has a problem can afford an exercise harness like this, if they'll let me know, or Donna Hill let me know, I'm often help people get one, and I'll just pay for it and send it to them because I get free shipping and I can find them so cheap that if somebody's struggling, I'm happy to help them out.
Yeah, you've helped me out one time too. I know, thank you.
Me too.
And I believe in pay it forward too, and so I help people when I can too. But Guinness, we just took a out-of-state trip, and I decided to take his in training off, and he's been training for 2 years. So I decided that traveling with in training patches can be an issue when you're going out of state, because every state is different on that. So we went ahead and took the in training off, and he did all right. You know, he makes my family nervous, so a lot of times we just didn't take him in or whatever, and that's personal choice. It just was easier than arguing with my family at times. But he also discovered squirrels and prairie dogs. So we had a lot of leashes with us. I took a 15-foot so he could have a little more room when we got out to exercise, to move around without being off leash. But I also had a traffic leash for when I really needed to keep him close. And then I had an over the shoulder leash. So, I mean, and I had a regular vest type harness for when I really wanted it to stand out that he was a service dog. Because some places, even though you don't have to, it's easier if they're really labeled. You get less argument. But it just depends on the situation as to what I put him in. He does use a head halter because he is a very determined puller, which is why I was asking Donna questions about what she was saying, because I would really like to get past this. And in 2 years, he makes progress, and then we go back to the pulling thing. And I would like to get past it. I really would. And I've worked hard on it.
One of the key things I do find with the pulling, though, is you really have to isolate the triggers. So if it's cats, if it's rats, if it's raccoons, whatever, set up situations as much as possible so you can work on that particular distraction and then move on to a different distraction if there's other similar ones. And that isolation in combination with that looking back at you as a default makes huge difference. And that's the big thing I think most people miss, is that isolating the specific distraction. So if it's bicycles that go by that he's triggered to, work on just bicycles. Like just work on that one thing until he's like ignoring whatever it is, or at the very least being manageable in those kind of situations where it comes by close to you. That's the best success.
And I wonder if my brain fog affects that too, because a lot of times I don't know what the trigger was. So maybe I should have someone with me to kind of see what their take on that is.
Yeah, or film it. If you can set up a filming situation and then, you know, in a scenario, and then you can actually see, okay, what's going on in the environment? What is the trigger? That's absolutely key.
That's good. Yeah,
Have
I'm
you
sorry.
trained him? Have you taught him to yield to leash pressure so he doesn't think that every time you pull back, he needs to lean more into it? That's kind of an automatic reflex in most animals. That's how you keep your balance.
No, I haven't.
Okay, because when you teach that, I think I have a video of it, and I was trying to get Nick to go against the collar, and he would not go quiet. Nice.
Wake my dog up.
But I was trying to get him to go against the collar pressure, and he was following my hand too much, and it was just, he was, you know, watching what he gave in. And that really helps when you get them to that point, because then they're like, okay, if the collar touches me, that's not good. And then I've got some fun games where you can do some U-turns and some figure eights to practice, just kind of moving around in different directions for that. But you don't want to get dizzy. I was teaching one of my clients this the other day, and we had an issue with dizziness. So we don't want that. We don't want to get dizzy. We don't want our clients to get dizzy.
Yeah, don't have me fall over. We've had that happen.
Yeah, we don't need to do that. But if I'm having an issue, I will generally, if Nick, like he starts to go somewhere, I'll call him back in a happy voice, and we'll go back again.
Okay, I'd like to see the video. Yeah.
Okay, I'll send you a link.
Because he's a
Okay.
sweet boy, but boy, he's a challenge.
Yeah. Okay, and I think Tabitha's up, unless you have more to say.
No, I'm good.
Okay, and so Tabitha's up.
Hello. So as far as training puppies, I've foster trained a few, and then I've currently got a 1.5-year-old or almost 1.5-year-old midget. Huh? Are you my
Ooh, pretty.
midget? Will you stay away from the cookies? Anywho, so I typically start right away with no, like completely naked dog, just
Mhm.
inside and then in yard, teaching to stay right with me. And I teach a hand target for like come to my side,
Mhm.
and I keep them on the hand target for working like a loose heel and then eventually a tighter heel, so that it builds in the reinforcement of staying at my side and the praise for it. With my bigger dogs, I do introduce a head collar, and I was actually talking to Patty earlier. I foster litters for my rescue to
Uh-huh.
socialize with puppy culture, and we pick usually 1 or 2 out of every litter that has potential to keep training or to place as a prospect. And
Mhm.
I think starting this litter, I've got a litter of 4.5-week-olds right now. I think at about 6.5, 7 weeks, right as they enter critical socialization, but they're leaving the first fear phase, I'm going to start introducing some sort of noseband. I'm not sure what it's going to look like yet. I'm going to look for some like toy dog sized muzzles or gentle leaders, just so that they get the feeling of something on their face, so that they're easier to muzzle train or head halter train later on. But I typically introduce that feeling when they're young, so that if I have to go back to it later, it's okay. But I don't tend to use it until I am about 90% sure they're not going to pull. And then, for example, with my girl that just retired, I used a head collar anytime we were in a place that sold food, because I wanted to feel where her head was, not because I was afraid she'd pull, but I wanted to be able to feel where she was when she was behind me, because I had experiences with people feeding her. So frustrating. So frustrating. But like with Zeke, hi midget. He's only 9 pounds full grown, and we started completely naked, and then he does agility and confirmation and does a little bit of at-home tasking for me. Now that I've got no current SD, he does a little bit of at-home tasking. But I started him naked, and then when I was sure he wouldn't pull, then I introduced a collar. Before that, if we had to go out, he was on a harness, just because I didn't want any reinforcement of the pulling, and I didn't want any oppositional reflex.
Right.
But that's mostly it. I usually start naked. I've got a couple of videos of the last prospect I trained when he was a puppy, probably 3 years ago now. And I've got pictures and videos of him at like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months old, completely naked, just working on everything and staying right with me. Your hair is in the picture. Nobody wants to see your hair. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna mute.
He's cute.
Do you have something the puppies can stick their nose into, like a cup or a cone or something?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I've never done it with my litters before, but I definitely can see the merit. Patty and I were talking about it earlier, in getting them used to having something on their face while they're still in critical socialization period, so that
I like
if it's
that idea.
later on, then it's no big deal.
Right, I like that idea. Both my dogs, I used to like a kid's soccer cone, but that's a little big for puppies. But to have them just stick their whole nose in there, and now they just stick their nose in, and they'll hold their nose in there until I tell them to let it out. And but like a paper cup or something for a puppy, because Christy knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The cone game.
Yeah, you could even like put something in it, put some of their puppy like moist food or some
Let's go.
yogurt or something in it for them to lick out, get their nose in it and lick out. Or some sort of a small Tupperware dish and then lick out, lick the bowl.
Yeah, I definitely am going to. I've got another week and a half or so until they're old enough to kind of brainstorm. And then
Yeah,
I've got a pregnant mama dog coming in tomorrow, so I'll have a whole nother litter to do in a few weeks.
I highly, a cup, a small cup that, you know, it's just like big enough for their muzzle to go through. I would try that because it gets them ready for anything they have to put their head through.
Yeah, I'd start
I
off.
mean, it hits muzzle training,
Easy.
goggles training. It just, I mean, I just shove stuff on my poodle and he doesn't care because we've just spent so much time reinforcing the cone game. And it's like, oh, okay. I mean, he knows that the gentle leader, he has to behave. So sometimes it's because he knows the difference. It's not because he is afraid of it. But
But you can probably get even like I don't know what kind of puppies you have, but even like a paper cup and then take the whole, take the bottom out of it. And then you could try to get them to stick their snout through and then get the treat on the other end of it. Get their snout, their muzzle through.
No,
it
lie
works
down.
really
Yeah, I
well.
like that idea.
And then after that, then you don't need to be trying to encourage them to get their snout through. They just put it through. Then you take it, they put it through, then you give them the treat. They
And
put it,
that's
give it the.
That's the good news about Starbucks puppuccinos. It gets everybody getting a puppuccino for their dog and they get muzzle trained. So do you have any more fun stuff that you do?
In terms of like gear or just
in general with puppy raising?
Oh, I do all sorts of stuff. Like we moved into the weaning pen last week and I litter trained to alfalfa pellets so it smells like grass.
Oh, that's a good idea.
At 4.5 weeks, they're about half, 2/3 litter trained already. Poop is about 80% and pee is a little closer to 50. We do wobble boards. I do inflatables. We do a novel environment or texture or item every day. Starting in a couple of days, once they hit 5 weeks, we're going to start powering up the clicker as well as introducing like the box game. They're starting to catch on to manding, which is like sitting or being calm for attention, pets, food, whatever they want.
Good.
We do a little bit of everything and it's fun. It keeps me going. It gives me something to do and it helps them have a better start to life.
Oh yeah, the people that get these puppies will be very happy.
Yeah, we start crate training around 5 weeks so that they're comfortable in there. We do all sorts of stuff. It's fun. The people that adopt really, really enjoy it. And I've raised a few that have turned into service and therapy dogs, and I'm helping train a couple for adopters now. And it's fun and it's rewarding. And I love watching their little personalities develop.
Good.
And Sarah, you're up.
I guess a lot of what I use has already been said. It's been a long time since I've raised a puppy, but I used to foster puppies. And we'd start off on a back clip harness and then only move to a flat collar for when we're actually actively training. The back clip harness is just kind of a free for all. And that's kind of my policy, even with my two, is if the leash is clipped to a back clip harness, you can pull all you want. So like with George, he runs alongside the bike and he pulls. They have, I guess the only thing I make sure is that both dogs have harnesses with padded shoulders to make sure that's okay for them.
You stop.
George has some martingales and some black collars. I just pick based on what looks pretty that day. It's not really a training decision. One thing I do use is Sunshine. Is not terribly reliable off leash. Well, she's reliable off leash. She'll come when she's called, no matter what. But she's not a George where she'll come when she's called and swing into heel and stay with me after I call her. So she drags just a 5-foot line. It's not quite a long line. It's made for retrievers. It's just plasticky material. And she drags that around when she's off leash. And that's about it. Lots of cookies. Because those kind of jewels.
Cookies are important.
Yes.
Extremely important.
If anybody is looking for cheap and effective cookie belts, go to Home Depot or Lowe's and get like a 69-cent nail belt. It's got
Oh,
3
that's
pouches.
I was at 169 cents, but we got one.
Yeah, you can decorate them. They're just like blank tan canvas. They got 3 pockets, so you can put like different levels of cookies in different pockets. You can put poop bags in there. It's awesome.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Your cell
probably
phone
more-
could go in the pockets too, I think.
they're
couldn't it?
probably more durable than even the Roughwear ones. Roughwear ones are nice, but they're
Expensive.
My favorite. Let me get my.
I'm a little bougie when it comes to my treat pouches. I've got like 4 or 5 different like patterned good dog ones. I like the magnetic clips because they're easy when my hands are hurting.
yeah.
But I'm going like just with puppies. I use the tool belts, the nail belts, because they're easy to pop in and out.
Yeah.